In December 2013, the Cafe TA Center invited people in recovery to share their insights and experiences. These are their recovery stories.
Well, I didn't really know what, mental health was. I didn't really understand, myself, why I was having so much trouble, and I guess I didn't really understand that I need to kind of change what I'm doing, and I may need help with it.
I'm a trained engineer on an academic level, and from a scientific mind, you want answers. You want to understand what's happening to me. From society perspective, you're considered mad. But from your own perspective, you're completely normal, and it's completely sane what you're doing.
I never realized I had a mental health problem. Anxiety, in my time, my mother would just say, shake it off.
I moved from Alabama to Georgia because of my mental illness, running away from what I had gotten into drugs real bad, trying to cover up my mental illness.
My depression almost took my life twice, and so I'm really surprised that I'm still alive here now.
I went to the doctor, and I became symptomatic from a medical problem that was later diagnosed as the virus. I found out, I suffer from depression. Wow, imagine that.
It was a time where I had tried to commit suicide on several occasions for several different reasons, because I thought that I wasn't good enough and I didn't understand my illness, and my dad was terminally ill, so I wanted to go if he went, and I just wasn't clear.
3 years ago, my daughter died. This is Lizzie. She passed away unexpectedly in her sleep. We didn't find out that I had any mental illnesses until after she had passed away, but while being in recovery and in therapy, I've learned that I probably had mental health issues for many, many years.
When my grandfather died, which was what triggered my mental disability, my grandparents had raised me, you had to understand, and he was the last living one of them, and he was my idol and everything, and I still look up to him today. There's no comparison to anybody else. My world was shattered, and I felt utterly alone. It took a long time for me to realize there were other people around, that I wasn't really alone, but I actually had to wake up and see that.
I remember my first introduction to the fact that there were people like me came from actually a 2020 episode where there was somebody talking about panic attacks and anxiety, and I was probably about 12 years old, and all of a sudden I didn't feel alone.
I did not realize how many people at one time shared a lot of the same things that are going on with me right now. I think a lot of people feel isolated.
I can tell you, growing up, I felt ignored. I felt very alone and very scared.
When everything happened to me, I knew nothing. And nobody tell you, what to do.
It's scary because you don't even know what's happening when it's happening.
Actually, when I first received a diagnosis, at first I was thrilled. Oh, thank God, it's true, I'm broken. Surely, some people know now there's something that can be done. And that didn't prove to be my experience.
After about 6 months of bouncing in and out of hospitals, I had come to the point where I felt that was going to be my life from then on, that there was no recovery for me, that I was severely mentally sick, and the best that I could hope to do is to exist.
The illness to me was something that I would live with. I'd get medicated for 30 days. and different doctors would give me this medication, just something to calm me back down, get me back on planet Earth. But I got to where that wasn't working anymore, and so I had to make a choice of either, to put it bluntly, either die or get medicated.
When I first started out, I didn't even know that there was a possibility for recovery. Like, I just thought, meds, try to do what I can.
I thought, okay, I get a diagnosis, I take my medications, I go see a psychiatrist and a therapist, and as long as I don't go to the hospital too many times, all is well. Nobody ever told me that I could come well and stay well. And then I started talking to other peers and asking them how they were doing it, and they started talking about recovery. And I wanted what they had. I really wanted to experience life outside of medication and doctors.
I never knew what recovery meant. I always thought recovery was just a physical thing. I didn't think it could be mental as well. So when people said something like along the lines of, oh, I'm in recovery from a mental health diagnosis, I always thought, like, how could you be in recovery? I never heard of that. Like, there's no cure.
When I thought about it at first, I didn't really like the word recovery in my life. There wasn't much that I wanted to recover, but what I did want was to have something worth living. You know, I lived most of my life feeling really broken, and it wasn't until I got involved with some people in intentional relationships that I realized I'm not broken.
For more information, visit cafeTAcenter.net.